Let's look at this problem. The ratio of Nancy's mark to John's mark is 5:9. The ratio of Edwin's marks to John's mark is 2:5. The average marks scored by each pupil in the class to the total marks scored by the three pupils is 13:44. If Nancy scored 50 marks, what is the average marks scored by each pupil? Okay, so this problem has a lot of data. Let's first take all of that down. So the problem states that the ratio of Nancy's mark to John's mark is 5:9. The ratio of Edwin's mark to John's mark is 2:5. And the problem states that the mark scored by Nancy is 50. After that, it states that the average mark scored by each pupil in the class is, to the total marks scored by the three pupils is 13:44. This is average to total by three people. A represents average mark of each people in the person in the class, whereas T is the total of the three people, Nancy, John and Edwin. Okay, so first let's see what we can do with this information. The ratio of Nancy's mark to John's mark is 5:9. The ratio of Edwin's to John is 2:5. So, and we know that Nancy has a score of 50. Now in such a problem, in such a scenario, like I've always said, what you have to find out is the constant factor. So what is the constant factor over here? In both the ratios, John's mark is the same. So we can make it as equivalent ratios. I've done a lot of videos on equivalent ratios. So if you have a doubt in this section, in this part, I suggest you go to those previous problems and check them out. Okay, so how do we make it equivalent? We have to make these two equivalent because John's mark is the constant factor. So we can, common denominator, we can take it as 45. So this ratio has to be multiplied by 5 and this ratio has to be multiplied by 9. 45:25. Now we get a collective ratio of Nancy 25, John 45, Edwin 18. So this is the collective ratio of the three people. Now the problem states that Nancy's mark is 50. So Nancy's mark is 50. So 25 units will be 50. 1 unit will be 2 marks. So we can find each of their individual marks. What will John's mark be? 45 into 2, 90. Edwin's mark will be 18 into 2, 36. And Nancy's mark is 25 into 2, which is 50. So we know the individual marks. Now the question asks, okay, so the question states that the average mark scored by each person in the class to the total marks scored by the three pupils is 13:44. So we don't know the average of the class, but we know the total. We can find the total out, the total of the three pupils. That is, total will be 90 plus 36 plus 50. This will give 90 plus 36 plus 50 is 176. Now 176 is equivalent to 44 units. So 44 units is 176. Then 1 unit will be 176 by 44, which will give you 4. Then can we find the average? Yes, we can just take 13 units and that will be 52. So the average mark scored by each pupil will be 52 marks. Thank you.